Hi, my name is Zach Garlett. I'm doing my second game review for our game development class. It's gonna be over Star Wars Squadrons. So basically, it's all just you're flying an X-wing, or you actually play on the Empire side as well too. So it'll be an X-wing or a TIE fighter. So that's pretty cool. So first thing we'll go over is the controls. So you're in a 360-degree aerial combat situation. So you start off in your X-wing, and basically you have the things that you would think you would have. You can change your direction, you can shoot weapons, but you can also put power to different areas. Like what you're seeing now, you can divert power to your engines, which makes it where you actually go a little bit faster, and you can control your speed, which makes it easier to dogfight, really, and fast if you can go faster to kind of outrun missiles and stuff like that. And you can speed through different areas, avoiding missiles like you're seeing right now. So sometimes you might want to go a little bit faster, but there might be other times when you actually want to have stronger bolts, so you can actually blaster bolts. So you can actually, over here, if you see in the bottom left where the red little gauge is, where the lights are going up all the way to the top, you can that indicates that you've put all your power towards your blaster bolts, and you can destroy people pretty quickly, as you can see. There's also situations where you might need your shield to be a little bit stronger, and that's where the green lights are going up. You can actually see that there, and your shield gets a little bit stronger. But throughout all this, you can change it at any given time, or you can balance the power back to where everything's pretty much normal. You have power going to each part of your ship, but it's kind of a strategy. You want to do the things you need for the situation that you're in. So if you need to go faster because you're chasing somebody, that could be one option. If you need to have stronger blaster bolts because maybe you're going up against a stronger enemy, you can do that. Or if you're about to get destroyed, you can put power to your shields. So it's kind of cool in that way that you can really customize the situation, and and like I said before, you can your different speeds, down here at the bottom left, you can actually see this little meter down here. Different speeds can be advantageous, depending on what you're trying to do.
Squadron, mine and give them cover. I'm glad someone heard my distress call.
So basic gameplay is, you have a set of allies and a set of enemies, and you're usually attacking or defending, or sometimes both. In this situation, you're doing a little bit of both. You could be going up against a set of fighters like you see here, or later on in the game, you'll actually go against Star Destroyers, and you'll have to strategically destroy different parts of the ship. And then after a while, you whittle it down, and you'll actually be able to destroy the ship as a whole. You can use different types of ammunition. You have your regular blaster bolts, and then you have missiles. You can lock on and shoot a missile. You can do quite a bit of things, and you get different abilities as you go through the game. So you'll be able to actually change your loadout on your X-wing plane. I don't know if you'd call it a plane in Star Wars, but like your starfighter, I guess. And eventually, you'll be able to use different types of starfighters. So you won't just have an X-wing; you'll have an A-wing. And you'll be able to change through that. And then, like I said earlier, you will be able to change to the Empire side. So you'll be able to have a bomber, or you'll have a TIE fighter or something like that. But the basic gameplay is that of just making sure you meet these objectives. You you make sure you destroy all your targets, or make sure that by the end of a time limit, the things that you're defending haven't been destroyed. So I think that's pretty basic level stuff for video games, but it's still pretty fun. Over is sound effects. They're probably the classic Star Wars sound effects that you're used to, but here's an example of them. And there's different sounds whenever you're shooting and whenever your targets are exploding. And there's also different sound effects like for collisions. You also have the classic like TIE fighter sounds that I'm pretty sure everybody's seen Star Wars, but those classic examples of sound effects. It's really cool. It adds a lot to the game. What's really cool, if you have a VR headset, which I do, you can play this game as well. You can play all the levels on it. It's not just like a small game on the side, that you can play like there was in Battlefront or something. It's really cool because you can hear the sounds in 3 dimensions. You can look around your hole to see who's like coming up behind you while still going in one direction. I don't know if you've seen Top Gun, but if you have, you know what I'm talking about. They do that. But it makes the game a lot more fun. But the sound effects are really well done because you can hear stuff coming up from behind you and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. Over is a user interface. So I'm going to start from left to right. You're sitting inside your X-Wing, so most of what you need is right there in front of you. So the first thing we'll go over here's the radar, so you can see enemies in the field relative to yourself. On the left is your different speed. It gives you kind of almost like an analog gauge to tell you what your speed is. Down here is lower speed, this is higher speed. And there's a sweet spot kind of in the middle for maneuvering and dodging missiles and stuff. It gives you a numeric value, a little digital readout. And above that, only whenever you put all your power to your engines, you can charge this up over time. And you can actually use that in bursts. You can click L3 and go pretty fast. So next thing is power allocation. So the blue is to your engines, red is to your blaster bolts, and green is to your shields. And each time you power to an individual area, you actually can, it takes time to charge up. Like I said over here, this charges up. And then if you put all your power to your blaster bolts, you actually can see this getting a little bit more red, and it will max out, and that's whenever you're at full firepower. And then moving on, this shows you can actually hit the X button and lock onto targets, and it will tell you who you're following, or you can lock onto an enemy target, and it'll give you tell you what type of enemy that you're going up against. This next gauge, so like in the movies, you have R2-D2, you have like an astromech droid on your starfighter. You can actually engage that to repair your shield a little bit in your hull. So that tells you when this is ready again, and you press L1 and it'll use up that power. Has a cooldown time. This next one is flares. So if you have a missile lock on, you can discharge those flares and make those actually go away. And then here, your missiles. So like I have 6 left after locking on. You can see how many you have left, strategically. And then finally on the right is your shield. Later on in the game, you don't have the ability now where I'm recording, but you can actually put all your power to your front part of your shields or your rear part of your shields, and it will double up the power instead of making it a full shield. So that's kind of cool. And then beyond that, like you have your subtitles as people speaking, and you have a little readout over here of who's speaking, and then above that you have your objectives. So like right now I'm following Echo Leader, and then after that I'll defend in this specific sequence. But that's your basic UI. There's not much more to it, but they got it where it's pretty cool, and it's just like basically the inside of your starfighter. So that's pretty cool. There hasn't been very many games to compare this to. I think the last one in Star Wars was the N64, which I mentioned earlier, Rogue Squadron. That game was a lot of fun. I haven't played it in a while, but you can actually get the ROMs and emulators to play those types of things. And I think, if I remember correctly, the controls are way better. There's a lot more going on. There's more going on in readouts inside your starfighter. And you can't change from watching in third person. It's all first person, which is something you could change in Rogue Squadron. But this seems a lot more like you're flying in an actual, X-Wing. And if you go to the VR route, it definitely feels that way. The cockpit can kind of get in your way a little bit whenever you're trying to do those different things like with VR, but it actually I think it enhances the experience. It makes it a little bit more difficult, but then it adds to it a lot more. So if you have that ability, I would definitely recommend going that route.